A while back, I was at work doing my usual stuff. When things got slow, I'd pass the time by looking at things on my phone or computer. Sometimes, I'd check out cars or random stuff for sale on Craigslist just for fun. Then, one day, when I had about an hour left at work, I clicked on the missed connections part of Craigslist just because I was curious. Have you heard of the missed connections section on Craigslist? It's where people share stories about seeing someone in public but not being able to talk to them or get their contact info. I was checking it out and found something weird. Someone had posted about a blonde girl in my city who wore the same Braves hat as me. It felt strange and made me worry a bit that someone might be following me. I chose not to answer the message and completed my work. Later, my friend Max came over, and I showed them the message. While we were checking it again, a new one popped up called Blonde Woman in My City Again Part 2. It talked about seeing me leaving work and wanting me to see their posts. Max and I were really surprised. It seemed like someone might be following me. We looked outside, but everything seemed normal. I felt worried for a few days and kept checking Craigslist. I was being really careful, but nothing strange happened. Then, one evening, I saw a car near my house. It left after some time. The next day, the same car followed me for a little while on my way home. I got really scared because I thought something might keep following me for a long time. Thankfully, it didn't happen. But then I felt like I couldn't handle it anymore, so I messaged one of the ads, asking why they were following me and begging them to stop. But they didn't answer. Later that night, I saw the same car parked near my house again, but this time, nobody was inside. That's when I noticed a man walking towards my front door from my yard. I was really scared, so I called the police right away. I quickly locked myself in my room and told everything to the person on the phone. Someone tried to come in by knocking on the door. It felt like a really long time, but after a while, the police came. They found that person in my backyard, trying to get inside through a window. I felt so relieved that I called the police earlier. They took notes about everything and promised to check things out. After a few days, the police looked really hard into everything. They checked the posts on Craigslist and followed the person who made them. Finally, they figured out who was stalking me. It was a guy who had been following many people around here. He had done this before, and they found proof that he'd been keeping an eye on me for a long time. After going through a really scary situation, I made a decision to relocate to a different area in town. The scary incident made me not want to use websites like Craigslist anymore. It was a very stressful time for me, but I was relieved that the police acted fast and took steps to keep me safe. Now that I've settled into my new place, I feel much more secure and at ease, knowing that the difficult experience is now in the past. Before I continue to the next story, if you are interested in earning from YouTube without showing your face or without making videos by yourself using artificial intelligence, like the video that you are watching right now, then I have a special free training for you. Check the first link in the description below to get instant access. In 2017, when lots of folks were using Craigslist, something really scary happened to me. Someone broke into my house and took a bunch of my things. They grabbed 2 TVs, my best Xbox 360, all my video games, even my cool hockey skates, and some cash I had sitting out. I called the police because I needed help. They came to check but didn't find any clues, like fingerprints, to catch the person who did the bad thing. I wrote down all the things that were taken, but the police here didn't help much. So, I had to buy everything again on my own. When I needed to replace my video game collection, the hard part was finding new TVs to play them on. I started looking around and found a great deal on Craigslist for a 40-inch Panasonic TV. Since Panasonic was the brand of TV I had before, I was interested. I got in touch with the person selling it, and on the same night, I went over to their place to check it out and possibly buy it. The house where the seller lived was dirty and messy. There were stains on the carpets, and things were scattered all over the place. They showed me a room at the back where there was a TV. When I checked it, it seemed exactly like the one that got stolen from me. Then, I noticed another small TV and an Xbox that looked just like mine. I grabbed the Xbox and saw a scratch on it, exactly like the one on mine. I was sure this person had taken my things. So, I told them, and they got angry. They even showed me they had a gun. I got super scared and left immediately, calling the police as soon as I could. When the police arrived, the person wouldn't allow them to come in. They said the police needed permission, called a warrant, and seemed annoyed with me. The police told me they couldn't get that permission until the next day. I was really angry because I didn't take any pictures inside the place. Later that night, while I was figuring out what to do next, I heard a window break downstairs. I was sure it was that same person. Without waiting, I quickly climbed out of my window, ran to my neighbor's house, and called the police again. Luckily, they arrived very fast. I gave the police a spare key I had hidden, and they looked through my house again. This time, they had their guns ready. And you know what? They found the person hiding under my bed. Just remembering it gives me chills. I was so scared knowing someone was there, wanting to hurt me. The police caught that person, and they got in big trouble for breaking in with the plan to hurt me. They were sent to prison for 10 whole years. But even after all that, I moved to a new town and changed my phone number. I didn't want that person to find me when they got out. It still scares me to think about it. All this trouble started over something that wasn't even worth much money. It makes me feel really bad. Sometimes, I think using Craigslist can be risky. You never know who you're talking to on the internet. The police tried to help, but it didn't solve things quickly. It took a while, and in the end, it was a scary experience. Now, I'm extra careful when I talk to people I don't know online. I just finished college and didn't have much money. My friend Tom and I really needed a good place to live that wasn't too expensive. We checked out Craigslist, hoping to find something. Then, we found an ad for a house that seemed great. The price was really cheap, and the pictures made it seem amazing. We messaged the owner right away because we were excited to see it. A few hours later, a guy named Kim called me. He said he could take us to see the place the next day. But he mentioned he had other tours too, so we had to be quick. Tom had to work, but I didn't want us to miss out. So, I said I'd go alone and take pictures for him. The next day, I drove to the address. I was super excited. But when I saw the house, my excitement disappeared fast. It was at the end of a road that no one seemed to take care of, covered in bushes and weeds. The place looked like it hadn't been used in ages. I started doubting my choice. This wasn't what I was expecting at all. I couldn't decide if I should leave and come up with an excuse for Kim. Before I could make up my mind, a man came out of the house. It was Kim, and he was really excited to show me around. I felt stuck, so I decided to go along and see what would happen. The place inside wasn't good either. It was really old and not taken care of. The paint on the walls was peeling off, and the furniture looked really used. It wasn't anything like how it looked in the pictures online. When I asked Kim about fixing things, he said he had plans, but it didn't sound like he'd actually do anything. When we went upstairs, there was a door at the end of the hall that was locked. It made me feel scared. And then I saw something weird. There were dusty footprints on the floor leading to that room, but none coming out. It was like someone went in there and never came back out. I felt really scared and uncomfortable. I knew I had to leave. I didn't say anything to Kim. I just ran downstairs and got into my car. He tried to follow me, but I drove away fast. I was shaking when I called 911. The police came, but by then, the house was empty. Nobody was there. In a room where there were footprints, they found proof that some people had been living there without permission. The room was full of trash, showing they'd been there for a while. Later, the police told me the house had been empty for 8 years. I worried about what those people wanted from me. Luckily, I didn't have any money, so they probably weren't trying to rob me. But I still wondered why they were there. Even now, I don't know what they were planning. It was really scary, something I'll always remember. I learned to trust my feelings and leave if something doesn't seem right.